of Tim McAuliffe and Ben Chapdelaine.
Thanks a lot, Sid and Ben. We've been waiting for this one all year long. Two of the best backs in the nation going toe-to-toe. We'll start with Max Jesse Lumsden, and what a special back this young man is.
Well, he's unbelievable. He's had a great season for McMaster, carrying the ball for 1,497 yards, averaging 9 yards per carry, and scoring 20 touchdowns, and doing so on special teams as well. He's unbelievable. He's going to carry the rock for Mac today.
And if he didn't set the OUA record this year, it would have been Derek Medler who set it.
Well, Derek Medler's had just as good a season, only short by a few yards, and carrying 8 yards per carry as well all season. So you know what? These two guys are unbelievable. And Derek Medler, unfortunately, we might not see as much of him today because of an injury.
Yeah, we might see the bulk of the carries go to Nick Cameron because of a shoulder injury. We haven't even talked about the CIS's leading rusher last year. That's Kyle Peer. He's taking on his brother, who is the quarterback of Laurier, Ryan Peer. Toe-to-toe, the brothers go.
Actually, I've been saying it all week. This is what I've wanted since the start of the season. As soon as I found out that we weren't going to play Mac in the regular season, Kyle and I kind of talked, and I wanted to play him before he left McMaster, so we kind of agreed that we'd meet in the Yates Cup, and I mean, it couldn't have worked out any better.
Well, there's always a lot of mixed feelings when you get to play one of your brothers in a game. You always want to see them do well, but at the same time, you don't want to see them do too well because it's your team that they're playing. So it's an exciting feeling out there just watching your brother against you.
So Coach Barry Peer coaches with Laurier, so I heard that Mom Betty will be wearing a Mac jersey today. Let's send it down to Sid 6-0. Sid?
All right, thanks. I'm here with Marauders head coach Greg Marshall. And Greg, this is one of the few teams you haven't seen yet this year. Is that a concern?
Well, it always is because, you know, we have not a lot of film on them, but we played them a lot in the last few years, so we know what they can do. They're an outstanding team, very well coached, and they'll be bringing it today.
We just saw the fireworks blow up there. You've been blowing out teams all year, if need be. If it's close late, does your team remember how to be in a situation like that?
Well, it's been a long time, but, you know, I told our guys this week that we have to be prepared mentally to play 60 minutes of football, that we expect that Laurier is going to be in it the entire game, and that, you know what, we got to be there in the fourth quarter.
Coach Marshall, thanks for this.
Thank you.
There's Marauders head coach Greg Marshall. His team looking for a fourth straight Yates Cup. Opening kickoff from Iverwin next on The Score.
Welcome back to Hamilton, Ontario. Time now for our national anthem. Here to do the duties, former Marauders Nick Armstrong and Steve Green.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love, in all our sons' command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
What a gorgeous day for football in the country of Canada. One under, an absolutely beautiful sky and very little wind, about 15 kilometers to the northwest. And as we look at this game, it used to be said that the only way that McMaster's football program could see the CIS top 10 was by looking up. Well, Greg Marshall has changed that. In his 7th season at MAC, the Marauders have improved each and every year except for this year because you can't get better than perfect.
You're absolutely right, Tim. Coach Marshall's done a good job since '97, and he looks really calm today for a guy who's in a big game.
And you should know. On the other side of the ball, Gary Jeffries, 26 seasons at Wilfrid Laurier, his first as a head coach. Not a bad debut. Ranked 7th in the nation, back in the Yates Cup, and just this week he was named OUA Coach of the Year. This from a team that was 1-7 last year.
Well, Coach Jeffries did a good job turning this program around after, as you mentioned, not so good of a season last year, and he credited his players and the rest of his coaching staff this week as he accepted the award for Coach of the Year.
Well, we are set to get underway. The 96th Yates Cup from Iverwin Stadium in Hamilton, Ontario. Brian Devlin will kick off University Rush for the final time this year, and what a pleasure it's been covering our kids and our game all season long. Jesse Lumsden back to receive along with Brandon Little, and we don't expect him to kick Jesse Lumsden at all.
Well, Coach Jeffries talked about it this week, but you know what? If you're any smart as a coach, you stay away from Jesse Lumsden. He's hurt people carrying the ball as a running back, but also on special teams, returning kicks against Queens when it mattered, and again last week on a missed field goal against Windsor. So you know what? If you're Coach Jeffries, you stay away from number 28.
He's got a 38.3 average on kick returns, 1 touchdown. That was 88 yards, and Queens made the mistake of kicking to him. At the end of the game, they led by 7. Lumsden returned a kick to tie it, went to overtime, and McMaster won the game. That's the only time this Marauders team has been tested all season long, winning by an average of 44 points per game. The 96th Yates Cup is underway. And we said it, a little pooch kick. John Shard will take it in. They set up some blocking. Shard's got some room to the outside. Yannick Carter's the last man to beat, and Carter with flags on the turf will bring him down, and that's where we'll meet Mac's quarterback.
John B. McMaster University.
Just his second year, Ben, but he's come along since his first year.
You know what? He came in early last year, and he was so calm for a first-year quarterback, and he's learned the playbook, and everybody believes in him on this team. And, you know, it helps when you have guys in the backfield like Kyle Peer and Jesse Lumsden to take some of the load off their shoulders.
Side on the play, the penalty is declined. It's a first down.
He's thrown for 1,382 yards. The penalty was against Laurier. It was offside. They declined it and will begin with a short field already. Their own 52-yard line is where they start. Handed up the gut to Kyle Peer, and Peer still on his feet down to the 41-yard line, and that's where we'll meet the MAC offense. It looks as such. Vaughn Swart and Chris Rankin outside, both of them in the top 15 in the CIS in receiving. You've heard about Peer, you've heard about Lumsden. Let's go to the big uns. Fabio Felice, first team OUA this year. Andy Zaremba, Sorelli, Ford, first team OUA this year. And Matt O'Meara actually in the starting lineup at the right tackle spot. They hand it off this time to Lumsden. Lumsden bounces off a couple of tackles, and there you see the athleticism of Jesse Lumsden. Let's have a look at the Laurier defense. The front four, definitely very good. In fact, they have more sacks in 2 playoff games than they had in the entire regular season. Lee Magic Como comes back from injury to join Thompson and McNeil, 2 very steady linebackers. David Agro, the man has started all but 4 games in 5 years here at Laurier. Here, up the gut, and Mac is running with some big gains early here, Ben.
Well, big surprise. Mac is running the ball, but they've already early in this game, they're trying to set a tempo. They're trying to give the ball to Kyle Peer a little bit more, knowing that Laurier is going to try to contain Jesse Lumsden. So it's kind of a nice luxury for Coach Marshall to have a guy like Kyle Peer carrying the ball in the middle, and he's pretty elusive, and he, being a little bit smaller, he hides behind his blockers, and he turns a 3-yard gain into a 6 or 7-yard one.
And with them keying on Lumsden so much, you know that Peer will play a big part of this game. Here's Lumsden up the gut, and he is chopped down by Ian Logan. Lumsden remains on the turf, and before this game, we were talking about how good Ian Logan is, and we see it here.
Well, that's an unbelievable hit. Lumsden comes into that hole, and Logan just goes straight for Lumsden's right knee. You'll see him right here as he comes through. There's Logan coming in right on the knee, helmet directly on that right joint. That might cause a big problem for Mac.
This would be an absolutely massive injury if it is serious to Jesse Lumsden. Ian Logan, a first-team OUA All-Star this season, 37 solo tackles from that halfback spot.
You know, he's done a good job filling in on the run, and you know, they've played some good teams out there, and Logan has had to make a lot of tackles. He had a great game last week as well against Queens, making some big hits on Crawford and also closing it on the receivers.
This could be a huge momentum shift early in the 96 Yates Cup. We'll be back after these. There is a look of concern on all of Marauder players right now as their star running back Jesse Lumsden is on the turf, and this would be a massive blow, to say the least, to the Marauders.
Well, they've carried, they've been all the way down here on Jesse Lumsden. There he is getting hit on the right. From up here, that's exactly what it looks like, just the right knee folding in the wrong direction. We hope he's okay, but it definitely is a tough break for McMaster early in this game.
And Jesse Lumsden was a big part of this offense that set new OUA standards all over the charts. And most points, 424. Most rushing yards, 2,800, and that was with Lumsden on the bench in most third quarters of this game. Lumsden set the OUA record with 1497. In fact, that's the third highest total in CIS history. Only one man has more in a single season, and that is Eric Lapointe. His 20 touchdowns tied Kojo Adu, so you can see how much Jesse Lumsden has helped this offense. Kyle Peer may have to play a big part in this as we continue to tend to Jesse Lumsden.
November 22nd, Vanier Cup 2003 lifts the lid off Skydome, and you can't afford to miss it. For just $99, catch the action from a prime seat, shake it up at a post-game concert featuring Not By Choice, and cap it off at a downtown Toronto hotel. All this for just $99. Call 1-866-4-VANIER or go online at vaniercup.com. Other packages also available. For game tickets, contact Ticketmaster. Vanier Cup 2003, November 22nd at Skydome.
Welcome back in on the fourth play from scrimmage. McMaster, disastrous hit for them. Jesse Lumsden remains on the turf, and if you haven't heard about this young man's work this year, he's been absolutely unbelievable. He ran for an OUA record 1,497 yards, averaging slightly more than 187 yards per game. In fact, he rushed for more yards than 4 other teams in the OUA and would have ranked 6th in team rushing had he been alone. Jesse Lumsden, including the playoffs, 25 touchdowns in 10 games. You can even see the Laurier guys looking on, and doesn't look good for Jesse Lumsden right now.
Well, you know what? Every time somebody goes down like that, and a player of the class of Jesse Lumsden, everyone around him knows what it's like to be hurt. Nobody really appreciates that, and everyone, even on the Laurier side, is concerned, and everyone is already aware that it could be any of them down there on the turf. So everyone definitely has a concern for Jesse.
So the OUA rushing leaders looked as such this year, and in fact in OUA history. Lumsden and Medler 1 and 2. Medler's got a banged up shoulder in this game, and now Lumsden goes down early in this first quarter. Kojo Adu used to have the record. Played with you, Ben. 13:29 he ran for in 2000. And then of course Jared Smith from Waterloo. And this is a great sign. Lumsden walking off.
You never thought that he was going to walk off with his own power when seeing him on the field like that. Again, the therapy staff just wants to make sure before they walk him off the field that there's the ligaments are okay, and obviously Dr. Peterson, who's a team physician with the McMaster Marauders, just double checking everything's fine with Jesse. And They're definitely going to take a look at him and see if he can't come back into this game.
Well, we thought coming into this that Kyle Peer would play a very large role. He, in his 5th year last year, led the CIS in rushing. They've got Rick Andrade in at tailback behind Peer. And Andrade's been a quality player. They send it out in the flats. That is Kyle Peer inside the 10, inside the 5-yard line. And besides the injury to Lumsden, Mac, a perfect start.
You know what? That's a great job to change the momentum a little bit. They've been stalling for a couple of seconds because of injury. Guess what? Use your 5th-year player out of the backfield who can catch better than anybody else on this team and let him do his thing. Great job by Behe to deliver a beautiful ball down the field and to Kyle Peer to turn in the corner.
So Mac is on the 3-yard line on their first possession of the game. They're bringing in the big fellas, and we've seen this before. A full house package in the backfield, and Kyle Peer looks like he's remaining as the tailback. Donnelly and their starting right guard Ford are in the backfield. Behe under center. The handoff goes to Peer. Wide side, stretches out. Touchdown, McMaster! Kyle Peer, we thought he'd have a big game, and already we've seen him touch the ball in a variety of different ways.
Well, you see the 2 fullbacks going to the right side of the formation, and then they counter on the other side with Kyle Peer one-on-one against Logan. You can only stop Kyle Peer so often, and he just stretches enough to cross that plane and get a touchdown early in this game for McMaster.
Mike Ray will come in to attempt the extra point. 63 of 65 on Converse this year.
Now, Tim, you're scaring me. The last time you said that, you jinxed the kicker.
He puts it through, no problem. McMaster and Kyle Peer are on the board first. 7-0 here at Ivor Wynn. Let's send it back to Toronto in the Score Studios.
Thanks, Tim. A night to forget for the Raptors. They scored just 4 points in the second quarter, tying a franchise record for fewest points in a quarter, and set a franchise record for fewest points in a half. Just miserable.
Thanks a lot, Adnan. And Ben, we were talking about this before we went on. Kyle Peer has just done everything that Coach Marshall has asked him to do in his time at Mac.
Well, you're absolutely right. Back in the days when I was involved with this team, we used to throw the ball a whole lot, and Kyle was the first one to volunteer to be a receiver, and he's caught a lot of balls during those years. Last year, he was asked to be the main guy carrying the ball and carrying the load from McMaster, and he did a great job at it. This year, with Jesse Lumsden at tailback, they asked him to play fullback and to be the second feature back on this team, and he did just that without a problem.
Back to receive the kickoff for Laurier is Nick Cameron. Cameron just to about the 30-yard line, and that's where the Laurier offense will scrimmage, and that's where we'll meet their pivot.
Ryan Peer, from Laurier University.
Well, we saw his brother do what he did. Now we're going to see if Ryan can do his thing.
And Ryan's a really good athlete. He can do things with his arm, but he can also do it with his legs. He's really athletic, and on a field like this, he can really move around.
The one deep back, that is Nick Cameron. Medler not out there. Peer flushed out of the pocket. We can see what he can do with his legs as he is up to about the 38-yard line, and that is where we'll meet the Laurier offense. The backs and receivers, we talked about Medler, but Brian Hickey led the team with 11 TDs. The Andrews, Agro, Beckler led the team in receiving. The O-line, great. Jeffrey, Zapatelli, Mellis, all OUA All-Stars. They opened the door to Medler's 14-20 this year. Not often the Biggins get a little recognition, but it's nice to point them out. Whenever you have a back running for that many yards, you know they have a big part of it. Here, handoff goes to O.J. Tassi. Or is that Hickey? That is Hickey, who gets the carry. A 5.3 average for him. That'll move the chains on second down and short. Let's have a look at McMaster's defense in this one. The front seven, or the front four, ridiculous on their sack totals. Clovis, a first-team All-Star. They lost 2 linebackers to the CFL. Pottinger might be the next one. John Shard in the middle. Adu is an All-Canadian. And Jesse Carr, the youngest, he's a first-team OUA All-Star. Here looking for Joel Wright, and you can hear the young men down on the field saying, no way, no way.
I like the intensity on both sides of the field right now. Both teams are really jacked up for this one, and it's going to be an exciting, and we've already seen it early in this game. Guys are going to try to make plays, and they're not going to die. They're not going to just fold over and let the other team take them on.
So Derek Medler hasn't seen a touch of the ball lately. The early going of this one. Here in the shotgun. He's got time. Going deep over the middle, looking for Agro. The only man there was Josh Armstrong, and Agro turned into his brother, the free safety, and knocked it out of Armstrong's hand.
You know what? You're absolutely right, Tim. Sometimes as a receiver, when the ball floats up in the air like that, you absolutely have to become a defensive back. Agro sees that he's going to have to jump up for the ball, realize he can't catch it. He just has to take Josh Armstrong out of the play, saving an interception.
So Brian Devlin will handle the punting duties, an average of 34.2 on the year. That was 6th in the OUA. Rick Andrade back to receive for McMaster. Trying to angle it out of bounds. Chris Rankin, the other man, back, and he is down at the 29-yard line. Sid, give us some news.
Tim, Jesse Lumsden was taken to the dressing room. He has not returned. They are just checking him out. They're hoping it's just a muscular injury, and the word is that he will try and come back out, but as of right now, he's not on the sideline, Tim.
Thanks a lot, Sid Sixero, joining us, as always, on the sideline. So Coach Marshall has to rethink some things on offense.
You're absolutely right, Tim. All of a sudden, your playbook and play selection completely changes. Might have to throw the ball a little bit more, or believe in a guy like Rick Andrade, who's had a fair amount of carries this season.
The handoff goes to Pierre, the fullback. He is across the 40-yard line. Good for a first down for McMaster.
Now, Kyle Pierre doesn't even get touched until he gets into the second level. There's a hole the size of a Mack truck going through there, and the first man tackling him is a linebacker. Now that's a sign that the offensive line is handling the first line of defenders, and if Mack does this all afternoon, it's going to be a long run for Laurier.
Lumsden got a lot of pub, but this offensive line, including the tight end Sean Postman, has done a great job opening up holes, and Marshall is a master at being able to spread the offense and open up some holes for his backs. Pierre there, the tailback.
Well, all of a sudden you change personnel, you bring some bigger guys. Nate Finley at the fullback position. Kyle Pierre goes back to his old and well-known position of tailback. Here's Dave Ford, right guard on the Mac offense. He's a fifth-year player, and he goes and slips directly to the linebacker, Kevin McNeil, and he handles him and puts him right off the ball. Great job by Dave Ford.
Dave Ford, a first-team All-Canadian last year, first-team OUA selection this year, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's an All-Canadian again this year. The pitch goes out wide. Pierre spins off a tackler, but he is drilled just before the 50-yard line. That'll set up a third down for Mack.
There's something we haven't seen in a while. Last year, we saw Kyle Pierre doing this spin move 100 times throughout the season. This year, because he's playing fullback and because he's been the second man to Jesse Lumsden, he hasn't had the opportunity to carry the ball so much. Here he comes back, and it doesn't take long before the instincts come right back into this game, and he does a good job carrying the ball.
Mike Ray comes in to do the punting duties, and you saw a Laurier man down on one knee. That's Josh Alexander. That would be a huge loss for them. A first-team OUA All-Star in 2001, named second team just this week. This year, one of their many fifth-year guys on defense.
Josh Alexander is a pillar on that defensive line for Laurier. He's been there, as we mentioned, for 5 years. You know what? Everybody basically rides his back. He's a leader on that team, and he plugs that hole in the middle better than anybody else.
There's the 315-pounder jogging off. That's a good sign. There are 5 fifth-year men on that Laurier defense who came up absolutely huge against Queens in the late going. Nobody heard that. So Mike Ray comes in to punt. His average of 34.1 sends it away. It'll take a little hop. Jeff Keane, well, we've got no yards flags down there and a wrestling for the possession of the ball, but they're going to be first down for Laurier. Mike Ray down there, though. We'll have to see if indeed there was another man inside that radius of 5 yards, but it was Ray who ran down there and tried to recover the punt. He seems to think that he's gotten it. Was there another man within the 5-yard radius, Ben?
Well, you'll see number 20, Mike Ray. Here he is at the top. Now, from the sound of the crowd, you can tell that Mac is getting the ball back.
Here was inside the 5 yards. McMaster recovered. First down.
Referee Gord Smith declares that Mike Ray was the only man within the 5-yard radius, and that is an absolutely huge play for Mac.
Mike Ray is the best at this in this league. I've seen him do it a bunch of times in the last few years. As soon as he pooches a kick, he's the first one down there, and he realized that he made a mistake, that he has to make it up, and he gets down there, makes a play for his team.
He's not just a kicker, he's a football player, and he realizes that. Behe, play action. He's got time, he's going to run. Behe's a good athlete. He spins off one man down to the 31-yard line. He's a little upset about what he perceived was a little late there.
Well, you'll see play action in the backfield. John Behe's looking down. He just sees nothing open because the coverage is too good back there. He just decides to tuck the ball away and go downfield. Once again, Ian Logan on the tackle coming up, saving another first down.
Behe averaged 7.3 a rush when he did haul it down. And 3 touchdowns. So Mac, their second possession, they've run 11 run plays, 1 pass play. They tried that pass there, but Behe just took it down. Here at the fullback spot, Kevin McNeil hauls him down, but not before Kyle Peer gains another 10 yards for Mac and another first down.
Well, this is an inside run to the fullback. It's called a go play. Basically, you have the guard and the tackle, crossing man, and a huge hole opened up for Kyle Peer. Once again, first man making contact with him was linebacker Kevin McNeil. Second level. This is huge for Laurier and for Mac.
Yeah, Coach Jeffries talked to us about that. He didn't want to see Mac running backs hitting that second level without being touched, and we are seeing that in the early going here from Iverwin. Here, up the gut, Ian Logan again, cutting them, ball came loose. Referees are saying that the ground caused the fumble. They'll give him the yards gain.
Well, that's right, Tim. This simply cannot be called a fumble because it was the ground who caused it. Kyle Peer, once again, you know, we're going to talk about him a lot this afternoon now that Jesse Lumsden is out. But good job again by the offensive line, opening holes up front. You have to give credit where it's due, and it's the guys up front doing a big job.
Kyle Peer had 184 carries last year, 3rd most in OUA history. So he knows how to carry the rock. And he'll do it again. Peer slips. And he'll be short of the first down. It's going to set up a 3rd down and about 2 yards here.
I wouldn't even be surprised to see Coach Marshall going for it as he yells out field goal.
2 possessions, and they're looking to get 2 scores. That's a great start for Mac either way.
You know what, that's what they wanted to get off to, especially after what happened early in this first quarter with Jesse Lumsden going down. They wanted to still prove to themselves that they could move that ball and try to get points on both drives.
Chris Rankin will spot for Mike Ray. 22 of 33, including 3 of 3 in the playoffs. 21 yards away, and it is good. The McMaster Marauders off to a great start. They lead it 10-0 here on The Score.
Welcome back, everybody, with the score 10-0 Marauders, and that is a great sight. McMaster, Jesse Lumsden, after taking the last series off, after landing awkwardly on a carry, has come back out of the dressing room to a loud ovation here at Iverwin, and he is going to go back in. I asked him what happened. He just said he landed awkwardly on that last carry, and he's fine. So Marauders, a big lift on their sideline just a few moments ago. Tim?
Thanks a lot, Sid, and it's good to see that he is back. Ian Logan lets it go out of bounds very wisely. Smart football play right there. He'll get the flag, and Laurier will get good field position.
And you know what? They can use it. All of a sudden, they got a turnover on Mike Ray's punt that he recovered. Their offense been sitting on the bench for a few minutes, and with the weather we got, although it is a sunny day, the longer you sit on the sidelines, the stiffer things get, and this offense needs to get into some kind of rhythm. That's exactly what Ryan Pierre and Coach Jeffries will be looking for right now.
So this offense will have to get going because McMaster doesn't wait for anybody, averaging over 50 points per game this season, and put up over 50 in their 2 playoff games, 70 in the quarterfinals, 55 in the semifinals. There's Derek Medler, and Derek Medler's going nowhere. We talked about that front 4. In fact, the whole front 7 in on that tackle.
Well, I'd like to be able to say that there was one man tackling, but this one was a whole pile of McMaster Marauders on this one. Jeff Robertshaw, Mike Gow, Tristan Clovis. Big Daddy Colin Shanahan was in the middle of the pack as well. That defensive line and that whole defensive front, as you mentioned, Tim, will be trying to stuff that run all day.
So it'll be 2nd down and 9, empty backfield. They're going to try a little hitch to Agro. He's got some blockers in front of him. Beckler throws a block.
Pass complete to
Agro will get to around the 47. And that is 3 yards short of a first.
Now this throw is actually behind Ryan Pierre. I wouldn't be surprised to see something later on where Andrew Agro would throw the ball downfield on a hitch pitch. Now this one is just a setup, trying to get Andrew Agro involved in this game, get some yardage, but also setting up maybe a trick play that we might see later on.
Got to keep our eyes open for that as Devlin comes in to punt. And the longer that Laurier goes without sustaining a drive, the worse off they are. Devlin unloads, looking to kick it out of bounds. Rankin will be able to take it in. And Rankin, he's got some room along the sidelines, and Mac will have good field position again. 10-0, early from Ivor Wynn, back with more after these. Thanks, Adnan. The winner of that game will face the winner of this game. Jesse Lumsden back in the huddle for the McMaster Marauders. A huge sigh of relief from all McMaster fans. Keep in mind, this team has won 3 straight Yates Cups, but they haven't advanced to the Vanier Cup in any one of those years.
Well, the motion man will hand it off to Pierre.
And Kyle staying across the 50-yard line. Another first down as this McMaster offense is asserting itself.
Now Kyle Pierre is definitely a different kind of back than Jesse Lumsden. His strength is to move laterally. You'll see him right here, one little sidestep, and he's downfield. Here's Dave Ford at the guard position, coming in on the trap block. Huge hit, and it's not on somebody who's small. That's Justin Shackle on the outside at 6'2", 250. Dave Ford putting a big lick on that man right there.
Kyle Pierre, 10 carries, 67 yards. We've got flags as Lumsden. That play, even though there were flags early on, it showed a lot. It showed how Laurier was going to try and stop that outside run from Lumsden, which we've seen, and maybe they weren't ready for Pierre up the gut.
Well, you're absolutely right, Tim. And that's one of the strategies that Coach Marshall will try to do this afternoon. And, you know, he talked about it being a chess match between him and Coach Jeffries, and it's one man trying to do something while the other tries to stop it. All of a sudden you have extra linebackers, Jesse Alexander coming in as the outside linebacker containing Lumsden. And you're right, regardless of the flag, this play was going nowhere.
The flag was on Mac. It's a 5-yard penalty for procedure. They'll have a 1st and 15, but might be interesting to watch. Kyle Pierre is the lone setback. 2 receivers on each side. Little draw play to Pierre on 1st and 15, and he almost gets back to the original line of scrimmage.
Well, this play is interesting. You have Kyle Pierre in the backfield. It looks like they're going to throw, and then it's a reverse handoff on a draw play. That gain of, close to 5 yards, but then again, the hole up front wasn't nearly as big as the ones that Kyle has had a chance to run through earlier. Good job by the Laurier defense to read that and to step up to make a play.
So Lumsden led the CIS this year in rushing, 1497. Last year it was Kyle Pierre who led the entire nation in rushing with 1227. And they're going to pass. Behe on 2nd and long. He's going to haul it down. Can he get to the first down? Well, he is driven down to the turf at the 40-yard line. That is 1 yard short. And Coach Marshall always has confidence in his big fellas.
Well, it could very well happen. They're going to go for it. Behe rolls out to the right. Great blocks at the point of attack. Nice little spin move to get an extra yard. Trying to dive forward for the first down. As you mentioned, he is short, and they are bringing some big man up front. There's a lot of 60s in that huddle right now.
The ball was marked just shy of the 30-yard line. Let's call it a short 2, long 1. For the McMaster Marauders, a big play early. Lumsden, the deep back. He's got 2 offensive linemen in the backfield, and Lumsden will get it. He is wrapped up and dropped just beyond the 41-yard line. And it looks like we're going to bring out the sticks to measure. No, first down for the McMaster Marauders.
Now, Lumsden got enough for the first down, but he almost looked like he was going to break one for the touchdown. Here he is getting just tangled up a little bit by Moulton, number 27. If it wasn't for that man, Lumsden was gone for a touchdown.
We'll have to see if Lumsden's a little tentative. You have such a great year, and then you see your career flash before you when you land like that and lie on the turf for so long. You have to see if he's a little tentative. 9 first downs already for Mac, and they're going deep. Von Swart reaching out and grabbing the ball. Moulton on the coverage, but there's flags on the turf.
Now, great throw and catch by Behe and Swart. Unfortunately, this looks like it might be a holding against McMaster.
Holding, McMaster. First down repeated.
The amazing Kreskin in the booth with me. It's an interesting chess match, though, Ben. We talked about it a couple of times, but Coach Marshall, Coach Jeffries, a long-time defensive coordinator in this league. Coach Marshall, a long-time offensive coordinator in this league.
You know what? It is the first time that they meet as head coaches in the Yates Cup, but they've been coaching against each other for 20 years, if not more than that, when Coach Marshall was at Western and now at Mac.
So first and 20, Bo handed off to Lumsden, who stretches forward. Gain of 5 on the play.
Good job by that defensive front from Laurier, shedding those blocks off and making tackles. You know what? There's not a whole lot complicated about stopping the run. It's about being physical and not letting anybody push you around. And you know what? Laurier is not going to lie down in front of Mac. They're going to work hard. Guys like Alexander, Brettany, Hauer, and Shakel on that defensive line are not going to let anybody push them around.
They seem to have settled down here in the waning moments of the first quarter. Here in motion, Lumsden will stay in pass protect. Behe over the middle looking for Postma, who falls. Lee Magicomo, who's back from injury, on the coverage there. And at the end of the first quarter, McMaster leads 10-0, but Laurier is standing strong.
My name is John Behe. I'm from Burlington, Ontario. I play for McMaster Marauders.
Behe on the rollout, looking for his man, and finds his man.
Playing the OUA means that you're part of something special. You're part of a good group of guys, all playing together, all competing for the same goal. We're all after that Yates Cup every year. Future goals would just be to play at MAC for the next couple of years and take it as far as I can. If that means going to the CFL, then that would be great.
30 Seconds With is brought to you by Pioneer Petroleums, driven to save you more.
So Laurier's defense holds John Behe and the Marauders offense. And after some early scares both sides of the ball, game settled down a bit. Ray will be taken in by Joel Wright, the hero of last week, and great coverage downfield for the McMaster Marauders. Conrad Kogi among those down there to stuff Joel Wright as soon as he tried to break outside. So early going in this game, Mac is dominated, especially in time of possession, as you can see there, Ben. That's a lot of
Now that's a big discrepancy right there. And you know what? I'm not a smart man, but I can tell you this. The longer you're on the bench, the less you're going to score. And that's exactly what's happening for Laurier. And not only is it bad for scoring, but it's bad for momentum and for simply staying warm and getting into that rhythm as an offensive unit.
Not only that, your defense out in the field against a potent offense like this, you're in deep trouble. They try a little slot back in. Hickey stuffed immediately. Looked like Mac had seen that play before, even though they haven't played before.
Well, you know what? That's called reaction defense, and they did a good job. Here's Ryan Pierre. Let's look at how low he is under the center. The reason for that is because that offensive line is leaning forward to get to the running blocks. Now, most quarterbacks usually will take a stance a little bit higher up to get a better vision, but when you're gonna go and hand the ball off, Ryan Pierre, he's such a small guy, just gets underneath that center really, really low.
This is a team that played under Tuffy Knight, renowned for his running attack. So that's what they learned. Pierre looking for right, finding right across the 35 up to the 37, and seemed like he slipped or he might have been gone.
Well, you're absolutely right, Tim. He was gone. This is a nice little throw by Pierre, and you know what? Stefan Potasic, the offensive coordinator, knows what it's like to be in a big game and to be right there to call plays to get people into rhythm. Now Pierre gets the throw off, but he gets a little bit of a push by Colin Shanahan, who's there just to let him know, don't worry, we're nearby and we're going to keep coming after you. Good job by Laurier to get that ball out in the air.
So Pierre in the shotgun on first down. This is a deviation from the norm for them. He'll throw it to Medler, and Medler's got a first down, and the Laurier fans a chance to roar early.
You know what? If your bread and butter, which is running, doesn't work, go to plan B, and that's hitting Derek Medler in the out of the backfield. You get a guy who can run the ball once he has it in his hands, but if he can't get through the line because the defensive lineman just plugging the holes, get him involved some other way.
That's just his third reception of the season. Medler in his second year out of Kitchener, Ontario. Two schools separated by about 45 minutes. Here comes the rush, has to unload quickly, does Pierre. He was looking for Nick Cameron, that is incomplete.
Now once again, getting the running backs out of the backfield, trying to get them involved in this game. Nick Cameron is a really good player, and he can catch the ball as well as run it. And I like the fact that Stefan Potasic is trying to do that. Get players involved, get them into this game so that, you know what, you don't wait till the fourth quarter for them to make a big play. Get them involved early.
We talk about Stefan Potasic. Last time Laurier won the Yates Cup was in 1991. Their star receiver, Steph Potasic. They also went on to win the Vanier Cup that season. So Pierre in the shotgun on second down. Under pressure, has to unload. This is a jump ball. And nobody comes up with it. Hickey down there along with Agro, and Pierre just had to get rid of it. That front four showing some pressure.
Well, the reason why that ball hung up, you'll see right here, Ryan Pierre just gets leveled as he throws that ball. Now it's a jump ball between Hickey, Agro, Little, and Card. It's a 2-on-2. Here's Pierre getting whacked as he throws that ball. Jeff Robertshaw, who had 8 sacks over the regular season, second-team OUA All-Star, comes in on a big pop on Ryan Pierre.
Yeah, his 8 sacks this season led the CIS. In fact, in just 2 years, 13 career sacks. So we might be calling his name a couple of times as Devlin comes into punt, but at least Laurier held on to the ball a little longer that time. Chris Rankin, he's hemmed in along that sidelines. We saw that a lot last week. We may see more of it this time. 10-0, Max still leads. Welcome back to the scores coverage of the 96th Yates Cup. Sid Cixero, Tim McAuliffe, Ben Chapdelaine here with you. This is the oldest continually awarded football trophy in North America. First presented in 1898. Grey Cup was first awarded in 1909. I believe the second oldest actually is the Little Brown Jug, which is a college trophy in the States Big Ten football. Finley, the fullback, Lumsden, the tailback, and he's going nowhere. This Laurier defense is starting to figure some things out. Let's go down to Sid Sixero on the sideline. Sid?
You know, Tim, a 10-0 lead in the Yates Cup would satisfy a lot of programs, but not McMaster. Before they came out on the field for this series, they were complaining about the last series and saying that when they're driving the ball, they have got to put points up on the board. 10-0 for Mac at this stage of the season is unacceptable for that program. Tim?
Thanks a lot, Sid. And when you win 3 straight Yates Cups, winning and putting points on the board becomes habit.
Well, it's expectations not only from the fans, but from the players and the coaches involved on this team. They expect to win. They're going to do everything they can to do so.
Lumsden, there's that stretch play. He'll cut it back. Jesse Lumsden. And that's a nice tackle by Steve Frank.
Which
Steve fills in.
You know what? He saved the touchdown right there once again. And it's easy for me to say that from up here. But we actually have a great view of how the play develops. Now, as Lumsden cuts back to the right, there's no one there. There's no one left. The only man left was Frank. And if it hadn't been for that man, Lumsden was gone.
Not only does Frank save a touchdown, but it looks as though he's forced Mac to punt. And these Laurier DBs, maybe a little undersized, but we saw against Queens, they're able to do different things, not only in coverage, but also stopping the run. So Ray comes in the punt. McMaster, a 2-and-out for the first time in this game, and Ray low line drive, and that's touched and fumbled, and McMaster has recovered, though we do have a flag down, and I believe that this no yards will be called as Furtado jumps on the football.
Now this, logically, without the 5-yard rule, this should be a Mac ball, but because there's a man within that 5-yard radius, when the original Laurier player touched the ball, it's going to be called a 5-yard penalty.
Let Gord Smith take care of this.
No yards, McMaster. 15-yard penalty. First.
All the conferences are playing their finals. Let's go back to the Score studio for another update.
Thanks, Tim. Dunsmore Cup, Geronimo Huerta Flores. The Rouge et Or looking golden, 24-7 Laval as the 5'11", 200-pounder plunges it in. Let's get back to Tim Bennett, Sid.
That's what happens when you have a bilingual guy back in the studio, eh? The Rouge et Or looking golden, huh?
That's right, that's correct.
So great field position for Laurier, and this is exactly what they needed, trailing in the second quarter, 10-0 to McMaster. Here in the shotgun. Over the middle, and he just overthrows Joel Wright, who is wide open. And it looks like we might have a hold in the backfield for the Golden Hawks.
Well, you're right, Tim. Joel Wright was open. Just a little bit of a mishap on the delivery there by Ryan Pierre. And sometimes when the receiver is so wide open, you try to just dump the ball and not really throw it. And that's one thing that's tough to learn as a quarterback, is to actually throw the ball regardless.
But Laurier withheld the storm. Early going, first possession, Mac scores. Then they get deep in their zone again, and you think, oh boy, here goes Mac again. But Laurier holds him to a field goal, and they only trail by 10. Got some field position here. Here. That time evaporates in a hurry. Remember we said Jeff Robertshaw? That's who's there.
A great job by Robertshaw, but the reason why he gets his sack is the coverage downfield. You'll see Pierre pumping once, pumping twice, trying to make something happen because everybody's covered. Then you see Robertshaw coming in on a great second effort to get Pierre down.
You also saw Big Daddy, as you referred to him, Colin Shanahan, force him out of the pocket. And that will bring Devlin in to punt for the Golden Hawks. So an opportunity squandered for Laurier. They had first down from the MAC 40. Couldn't do anything with it. Devlin. Again angling towards the corner. Rankin looking to get outside, taken down. We'll return after these. More OUA football. Welcome back to Iverwin Stadium here in Hamilton. Mac penalized for an illegal block. They'll start from their own 5.5-yard line. Play action. Going deep, looking for Conrad Logie. He had a step on his man, Ian Logan, but just underthrown.
That ball was a little bit underthrown. Reason why Mac had to start on the 5.5-yard line is because of the punt right here by Devlin. Look at him angling the ball directly to the sideline. The whole cover team is already headed to that side of the field, knowing the ball's going to end up over there. Now you'll see all the defenders, they only have to cover 1/3 of the field, and they're funneling Rankin towards the sideline, the 13th man on that cover team. Great job by the special teams of Laurier doing this every single time.
And we saw that last week versus Queens. That punt coverage team was absolutely fantastic. And it looks like they're trying the same thing this week. 9 minutes remaining in the second quarter. Mac from the shadow of their own goalpost. Jesse Lumsden is wrapped up and dropped. Tony Bretney off his end position is able to collapse on Lumsden.
This is huge. They're going to be forcing Mac to punt from their own end zone. Here's the drop play to Lumsden. Nobody's buying the fake. Everybody knows that Lumsden's going to get the ball. And here he is trying to sell that he's going to block, but no way. Bretney was going to come down on him and hit him hard.
So Mike Ray comes into punt. Lumsden's been limited to 33 yards on 7 carries. Remember, this is a guy who averaged 9 yards a carry in the regular season. So Mike Ray from his own end zone, he's just going to kneel. Give up the 2 points. Our lead is down to 8, and Laurier will have the ball back. So Greg Marshall, as we've seen before, chooses to take the 2 points, and Laurier is on the board.
Was it Muhammad Ali who did that?
Welcome back to the 96 Yates Cup here at Iverwin Stadium, and a great crowd on hand to see our boys play our game, CIS football at its best. So Laurier gets on the board with their special teams pretty much. Their defense steps up big, and they step up big as well.
Oh, you're absolutely right, Tim. The special teams and the exchange of field position was huge on that penalty and the kick. And the defense gets a little bit of a momentum push with that, and they stuff McMaster deep in their end, forcing them to give a safety.
They also should get good field position here as Mike Ray, the free kick from his own 35, taken by Logan at the 30. Logan cross midfield, and Laurier will have good field position. Again, they just keep hanging around in this game. It looked early like Mac might just blow this one wide open, but such is not the case.
Well, Laurier's been in enough close games this season that they exactly know what they need. They need to stick around until the 4th quarter, where as long as they're in reach, they can make it happen. They did it last week against Queens, and these guys don't worry about the fact that they're down 8 right now. They just want to make sure that they're in reach when the 4th quarter comes.
They were down 10 with 4 minutes left against Queens. Ended up winning in double overtime in one of the best games I have ever seen in my life. And Pierre, boy, they're not running the football at all, although Pierre will scramble out of the pocket. He is drilled. Robert Shaw jars the ball loose, and we'll have to see who wins this wrestling match, but the referees are pointing McMaster ball as Jeff Robert Shaw forces a big turnover.
And Robert Shaw puts a big hit on Ryan Pierre, and it's this man, Mike Gal, who picks it up. You're right, they rushed 3 right here, and they're not running. Laurier actually decided to throw the ball, but they drop 8 guys in the coverage. Now Ryan Pierre gets leveled by Robert Shaw, and the ball pops loose, and Mike Gal comes in. Here it is, the ball is loose.
Ooh, I'm wondering if we saw the front side of that, if the ground caused the fumble, but Ben says it was jarred loose before he hit the ground.
The angle from the camera was hard to tell, but from where I was standing here, it looked like the ball came loose before Pierre touched the ground.
So Jeff Robertshaw making his mark early, and we got flags. That penalty will be on McMaster. Let's have another look at this and see if we can't see where the ball pops. Yeah, great call, Benny. Cheering in the booth because he made the right call. I wondered if from that back end it didn't pop out when he hit the ground, but I will concede you were right, young man.
Oh, thank you. Wow, that sounds so nice in my ears.
I've been known to make a few mistakes here and there. One time I thought I made a mistake, but I was mistaken, so. 1st and 15 for McMaster. Let's get back to the play on the field instead of bad puns. And Marshall's got to find a way to solve this defense that have all of a sudden gotten very stiff. Behe on a sprint out, looking for Clogie. He finds him just short of a first down in front of Ian Logan.
Now, this is a great way by Mac to spread the field a little bit. You'll see Behe sprinting to the left, Lumsden as the front blocker, and then he just delivers a strike to Clogie, who's earning a 12-yard and out. But that was a good job by Clogie to keep that ball and secure it before being tackled by Logan, who was right there on the coverage.
That is Clogie's 22nd reception of the year, his 8th in the playoffs.
75's off, 75's off.
So it's 2nd down and 2. Ball on the 54-yard line. No pitch to Lumsden. He is strung out well. Logan, shoestring tackle again. And you can see Laurier is just hanging on by literally a string.
You're absolutely right, Tim. Logan saving, once again, a huge tackle right here. You'll see Lumsden trying to stretch it out. Great block by Donnelly at the point of attack, and it's Logan who comes once again from nowhere with his speed, closes in on Lumsden. Lumsden's not an easy guy to catch up to, but Logan did a good job using his pursuit angle and making the big tackle on Lumsden.
Coach Jeffries called Logan the quickest player on his team, and Jesse Lumsden's got 4.4 speed. You saw how quickly he caught up with him. Von Swart outside. Von Swart hit immediately by Josh Malton. But it's good for McMaster's gain of 8.
Well, here's the guy we haven't mentioned yet in this game, and it's Von Swart. The guy that you can throw the ball as many times as you want. He's going to come down with it. He's got 38 catches this season. And this one, that's not an easy catch. He's got the sun in his eye. The ball's a little bit over his head, which is a nice throw by Behe. A little bit higher than the head. Not an easy catch to make when you know you're going to get popped.
Von Swart was 7th in the CIS with 680 yards receiving in the regular season. Up the gut is Kyle Peer. He should be good for a first down as Mac is sustaining a drive here again.
Well, once again, they use Kyle Peer up the gut, and they use Jesse Lumsden as a decoy. They're sending Lumsden out on the toss to the wide side of the field, and then they just hand the ball off to Peer on the inside, hoping that the pursuit of the linebackers will be a little too much, and Kyle Peer can just sneak underneath that.
So Kyle Peer rushed for 67 yards in that first quarter when Lumsden went back into the change room. And as you can tell, Josh Alexander back down on the ground. He's having problems with that same shoulder that he did when he came off the field in the first quarter. Kyle Peer, as I mentioned, had 67 yards in that first quarter. We knew he was going to step up. We thought he was going to step up, I should say, and he has.
Well, Coach Marshall talked about him this week, saying that, you know, a guy in his 5th year playing against his brother in a championship game, you have to keep it all, and you have to let his positive emotions of this game get involved in it, and that's exactly what Kyle Peer's been doing in the first quarter, in the first bit of this game.
Well, Josh Alexander remains down. We're going to go back to the... he's jogging off now, and he's favoring that left shoulder. As you can tell, when he first went down, it was his shoulder that he favored coming off. So for Laurier's sake, they cannot afford to lose Alexander. First down, 10 to go for McMaster. Looking outside, Von Swart again, and they can take that all day. We're going to go back to the studios. Adnan Verk with another update. Adnan?
Thanks, Tim. It's all Laval at the Dunsmore Cup. Geronimo Huerta Flores. It rolls off the tongue, and he's rolling off tackles. Laval in a romp over Concordia. Back to the Yates Cup and Tim McCall.
Thanks a lot, Adnan. So Laval had split with Concordia in the regular season. It looks like the Dunsmore Cup might be just that done. Here, stays on his feet inside the 20-yard line. So just as we were talking about Laurier's defense stiffening a little bit, McMaster is putting together a slow but sure drive.
And to do so, they use Kyle Peer, who turns a gain of 3 right there as he's about to slip into 7. Right there, great job by Kyle Peer to keep his balance and dive forward for a huge first down by Mac.
So Max in the red zone, scrimmaging from Laurier's 19, looking to build on a 10-2 lead here with 4 minutes remaining in our first half. Here again, up the middle, reaches the 15-yard line, where McMaster will be faced with a 2nd down and 6.
As we take a look at the replay right here, this is a huge hit by Laurier right here, coming in and stopping Kyle Peer from getting through that first line. Now this is going to force McMaster to throw the ball and trying to get at. Well, if I was throwing the ball right now, I'd like to get into the end zone. Never mind trying to get a first down, although you take it if it's given to you. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Behe trying to go through the end zone on a passing play.
Kyle Peer is split to the near side in the slot position. Lumsden the deep back. They're looking outside, looking for Swart. Touchdown, McMaster! Von Swart. Benny, you called it. Looking to the end zone.
Well, I'm glad to see that things haven't changed too much with the McMaster offense to the point where they run the ball all the time, but this is a great throw by Behe. Now, there's nothing Malton could have done. He was right there, step by step, almost all over Swart, and he still came up with a huge catch for McMaster.
So Von Swart, with his 4th touchdown of the season, has given the McMaster Marauders a 17-2 lead with 3:50 remaining. Welcome back to Iverwin Stadium here in Hamilton. McMaster up by 15 and kicking off. Ian Logan takes it in at his 20-yard line. Up to the 30, and that's where Laurier will scrimmage from. Let's go down to Sid Cicero on the sideline. Sid.
Thank you, Tim. I'm here with Von Swart, who just found the end zone, and we were just talking in terms of crushing their confidence. They were hanging around and hanging around. That major's huge.
Oh, that major's incredibly huge. Last week they were able to hang around and end up winning the game, and this week we want to put them out before the end of this half.
Jesse's on the bike, but no one's really sure how close to 100% he is. How important is it for other guys on offense to step up, considering what happened early in this game?
You know what? It's incredibly important. We're a 12-man unit out there. Kyle's taking some big hits and big runs. We're making some good catches, and John's throwing some great balls. That's the key to our game, though. If one person goes down, the rest of us can pick up the slack.
Thanks, Von. Tim, back to you.
Thanks a lot. That ball was bobbled by Hickey, and they're saying that Josh Armstrong, when he grabbed it, was out of bounds, I think?
I believe the referees, from what I could see over here, they called it an incomplete pass, saying that Hickey never had full control of the ball. We'll get a good shot of it right here.
That's tough to see. I mean, if the ball hits the ground, it's an incomplete pass, but if he bobbled it into the hands of Armstrong, who caught the ball, unless he was out of bounds,
it should be a turnover.
So Peer in the shotgun has to run 8-6 now, make it 9-6 as Peer looks to the outside. He's got his man aggro, and that's a big first down for Laurier.
This is huge for Laurier, and this is unbelievable because McMaster dropped 9 guys into coverage. They're only sent 3 guys on the pressure, and when you get picked apart, when you have 9 defenders, something's not right. That was a beautiful throw and catch by Peer and Agro.
So this team that has relied so heavily on the rush this entire season, 9 pass plays to just 6 rush plays. And Peer will go under center. Medler the deep back. Hickey the motion man. This time Max got men in the box. Look like they're bringing the house. They are. Medler nowhere to go as he just reaches across midfield and gains 2.
This was definitely one of those run blitzes that Coach Joe Sardo, the defensive coordinator for McMaster, has been putting into his playbook all week for Derek Medler, and especially this quick pitch, or this quick toss play that Laurier likes to run with Medler in the backfield. And you could see that with the 7 guys that McMaster had on the line right there, Medler had nowhere to go.
Yeah, he just hasn't been himself in these playoffs. Here in the shotgun, 2nd down and long. big second down. They look to Joel Wright, makes the catch, and he's hammered by John Chard right at the marker. That looks like it's very close to a first down. And whoa, the mark on that ball has him short.
And it happened right in front of the Laurier crowd, and you can hear them booing that spot by the referees. Now, that was a great play, great read by Ryan Pierre. This is a corner blitz by Kwame Edu. So Kwame, who's lined up one-on-one with Joel Wright, comes on the blitz, which leaves Wright wide open.
Wow, that's a tough mark by the side judge, and Brian Devlin's come in. Third down and very short with 2:18 remaining. Punt. No, they're going for it. Brian Devlin stayed in there. They brought out the big fellas. Mike Maurice in motion. And they will hand it off. No, it's a pass play to Devlin, the kicker. He is brought down. The ball is loose. However, whistled dead. Massive play for Laurier.
Well, we saw them last week at Queens on the same type of third down conversion, going to the big fella up front who dropped it. This time they go to Will Northcote, number 15, and he doesn't drop it. He catches it for a huge first down.
Brown caused the fumble, and they'll mark it at the 15-yard line. Either way, that is a very big play for Wilfrid Laurier. Not only first down, but also inside the red zone is Will Northcote, who caught just 2 passes this entire season, catches a big one. Here in the shotgun. Pressure coming, unloads, looking for Medler, who tried to one-hand it but couldn't come up with it. And there you see the face masks locked together as Manny Furtado hammers here.
Now, when you play the MAC defense, they send a lot of pressure at you, and you'll see Furtado 6 right there, untouched, and he just takes Pierre hard to the ground, and they're not trying to... The face mask got tangled up there.
So it's second down, 10 to go, first down available at the MAC 5-yard line. Pierre once again in the shotgun, his team down 15. And Pierre will pass, looking for Hickey in the end zone. Touchdown, Laurier! Brian Hickey hauls it in, his 14th touchdown of the season.
Brian Hickey did a great job coming back and jumping for that ball, but look at how gutsy Ryan Pierre is. He throws that ball and gets taken to the turf hard once again. Now that's a beautiful throw, and Hickey does a good job using his body. Pierre's taken down hard by Clovis. You know what? Nothing hurts when you throw a ball for a touchdown.
So Pierre hangs in there, and after the trick play on third down, Laurier play action with their big fellas in. They caught me on it. They caught Mac on it. And they make Mac pay.
Those are the kind of plays that Laurier called. It could be anything. You know, it could happen, it could be great, or it could hurt you. Last week it hurt them against Queens. This week it works against Mac, and it brings them closer, especially late in this first half. You had to get a score on the board, and great call by Patasek, the offensive coordinator.
Looks like they'll go for 2, down 17-8 as Pierre marches back out. But we had just talked about how huge that McMaster touchdown was, and thought it might deflate this Laurier squad, but their offense comes right back out, matches.
We talked about them hanging on, and they're going to stay in this game. As long as they're there within 10 in the fourth quarter, they know they can win, so they're not even worried about it.
2-point conversion would make it a 7-point game. Underneath, Mike Maurice absolutely drilled, but he hangs on to the football. John Chard lowered the boom, but Mike Maurice did what the receivers are not paid to do, but given the big-time pub to do, and that's hang on to the football.
Well, there's a beautiful throw by Pierre, and you know what? Maurice did a good job just hanging on to that ball, knowing he was going to get popped. He had nowhere to go with Card behind him and Jesse Chard, the safety, closing in on him. Great job by Laurier to get into this game. Only 7 points behind now. This is football at an interesting level.
So Ryan here and the Laurier Golden Hawks pull within 7 with 1:50 remaining in the first half. We've been blessed with some great games this year on the Score Television Network, Ben, and here's hoping that we get one more. The 96th Yates Cup from Iverwin Stadium. Les Prince Field at McMaster couldn't hold the crowd that was coming out to this one. They kick off very deep to Brandon Little, staying away from Jesse Lumsden, and Little. It's got a seam. Brandon Little just might do it. Brandon Little, coast to coast. McMaster responds with a knockout punch of their own. 108 yards for Brandon Little, and McMaster replies in a massive way.
Well, Coach Marshall said if they're going to stay away from Lumsden, which I assume they'll do, we're going to use the blocking to help Brandon Little. And Little is not a slow guy. This guy's got some wheels, and he is untouched from his own goal line all the way to the other side. There was never a Laurier player near him, and he has his own escort, number 28, Lumsden, running with him all the way along. Huge return for Mac.
So Brandon Little,
okay,
their halfback. Coach Marshall said he wasn't afraid if they kick it to Brandon Little, because this guy has got some skill of his own. Well, he just showed it to the entire nation. McMaster responds, and
well, here's Brandon Little beating Brian Sloot, who's not a slouch. This man is one of the best players on this cover team for Laurier. Little just zooms right by him and goes all the way back for a touchdown. Great job by Coach Ted Gavaya, the special teams coordinator for Mac, knowing what Laurier was going to do with Lumsden, is creating blocks for Little, and it pays off for a touchdown.
So one play after Laurier had cut the lead to 7, Mac jumps right back and stretches to a 14-point lead with 1:36 remaining in the first half. And that's a big play if I've ever seen one. So Mike Ray will kick off to Laurier, who will look to respond themselves. That's the kind of dangerous players that Mac has on their squad.
Well, team speed is huge for Mac, but individual speed is even bigger with Lumsden and Little returning kicks.
This one will be taken in by Nick Cameron. Cameron to the outside. He's got some space. He's hauled down at the 42-yard line. And we're going to go back to the Score Studios with Adnan Burke. Adnan.
Thanks, Tim. Hockey action from last night. The Flames can't score, it seems, but the Wild, they can. Alexander Daig off the missing persons list. A great feed to Eric Schweenhart as the Wild take it.
You're on,
Thanks a lot, Adnan. Getting a little taste of all of Canada. CIS football and then a little hockey thrown in just to keep you up to date. But Laurier has 1:30 to try and respond once again to this very potent McMaster Marauder squad. Here, looking over the middle, Andrew Beckler across the 50-yard line into Mac territory.
Great job by Beckler to hang on that ball. So I'll tell you what, John Chart was coming, taking over for Rob Hitchcock on this Iverwin turf. But Beckler does a great job hanging on, catching a huge ball for Laurier as they go with the no-huddle offense.
Here, escapes Robert Shaw this time, and Pierre across the 40, inside the 38-yard line, and about a yard short of a first down.
Now, this is a great situation for Laurier. They still have their 2 timeouts remaining for this first half. Ryan Pierre found the sideline, so he stops the clock. All of a sudden, you got 1 minute and 13 left, and it looks like you have a full day ahead of you.
These two heavyweights going toe-to-toe. Laurier 1-7 last year, 6-2 this year. McMaster a perfect 16-0 over the last 2 years. Here, looking deep for Agro, and Tristan Clovis gets there just in time to break that pass up.
Now Clovis got lucky right there because he never turned his head to look at the ball. He's trying to catch on to Andrew Agro, who's actually got a step on him, and he simply couldn't hang on to that. He would have actually fell in for a touchdown right there.
Agro had a shot at that ball, and boy, would that have been a response from Laurier, back and forth. Now they're faced with a 3rd down and 1 yard. They're going to take a timeout to try and get things straight here, Ben.
Well, that's a great call by Ryan Pierre, just to take a timeout. They've driven the ball from their own end all the way out to here. You're in a situation where you got to get the ball into the end zone, or at least get 3 points on the board. So you want to make sure you get the right play calling, and when it's 3rd and 1, you got to discuss it out and make sure that you call what's best for your team.
Derek Medler has been oddly absent from this Laurier offense today, just 3 yards, and you can see that his rushing totals per game during the regular season versus postseason are completely different.
Well, you know what, when you get hurt and you don't get as many reps in a game, obviously that'll be affected, but you know, those shoulders as running backs, it definitely affect the way that you run, and not necessarily doing it consciously, but it's sometimes just in the back of your mind. You don't go into the hit the same way.
Laurier's done a great job, though, adjusting and throwing the football in this game.
And they have the right athletes to do so. Beckler, Agro, Maurice are all people that can catch the ball. And if Ryan Pierre gets the ball out in the air, these guys are going to make plays for him.
Another full house backfield. The motion man is Mike Maurice. The up back, Hickey gets the carry and should be close to a 1st down, and depending on the spot.
Hickey, the ball carrier, stop made by Colin Shanahan.
Ooh, this one's going to be close.
Now this is a big pop. Hickey comes in. Colin Shanahan makes the first hit. Then he gets some help from Jay Pottinger at the bottom of the pile. You know what? This is going to be absolutely close.
Looked like they had to get to the 37. It looks like they're just shy. They are just shy. Unbelievable. The first time we saw him stretch over the pile, it looked as though he had the 1st down, but the spot at the 37, and Laurier is short. McMaster takes over with 1:03 remaining in our 1st half and a 14-point lead.
This was a huge kicker for Patask's offense because they had done well moving the ball up here. Agro had a chance for a touchdown. All of a sudden, you turn the ball over on downs. That's really tough for Laurier.
So Behe and this offense goes back to work. Outside, Swart has to go to the ground to try and catch that one. It's incomplete. It'll be 2nd and 10.
That was a sinker away that Behe had from his baseball days. You'll see Swart turning around, and it'll be down to the right. He tries to get a handle on it. Usually, Swart will come up with those catches, but unfortunately this time around, for him, the ball just bounced right off his hands.
The slider low and away is a great pitch. Not a great football throw. So with 1 minute remaining in our 1st half, Behe goes back to pass. He goes down. Looked like he tripped and fell at the 29-yard line, and with 55 seconds left, Laurier will get another shot to try and put some points up before the end of this 1st half.
Well, Fabio Felice, who's a first-team OUA All-Star, is a left tackle, and he had great position on his man, but Behe tried to run around him, and he simply tripped over Fabio Felice's leg. I guess Fabio will be credited for the sack on Behe on this one.
So Mac doesn't capitalize on the turnover of downs, and Laurier, a quick 2 and out. They've lost a few seconds off the clock, but the field position, if they can get a good return, should be relatively the same. Mike Ray, low line drive. That's taken in at the 50. Up the middle goes Jeff Keane, one of the special teams captains, and he is down to the 38 where he absolutely got hammered. Let's hope he's okay.
Here's a look at it. Great job to just run straight up the middle. And it looked like his leg got twisted as he got hit up at the top of his body. Tough break for Laurier, but great return. And you know what? Mike Ray has been struggling a little bit with his punts, and the field position battle is definitely in favor of Laurier right now.
So look at the ball back with 32 seconds left in the first half when we return. Welcome back to Ivor Stadium, and the McMaster Marauders are three-peat winners. Apologies to Pat Riley for using the three-peat term, but three-peat winners of the Yates Cup, one of only 3 teams to do so, and one of only 2 schools to do so. The Western Mustangs did it from 1988 to 1990. They also had the 4-peat, 1979 to 1982, and Coach Marshall was a pretty good player on those teams.
Well, he talked about it this week, saying that there were some comparisons between the this edition of the McMaster Marauders and the 1979 through 81 edition of the Western Mustangs, on which he was definitely a big part of, carrying the rock for Western back in the old days with number 13 as a running back.
You see Jeff Keane rise to his feet, and that's a good sign. In fact, Marshall is one of only 2 men in CIS history to win the Heck Crichton and also be named CIS Coach of the Year. The other one, the former coach of Laurier, Rick Smitch,
who was a quarterback back in his old days of play, and but that tells you how important university football is in the professional career of not only most student athletes, but also men in general who continue on and stay involved with football at university level.
Guys like you.
I guess so.
32 seconds remaining in the first half. Big for Laurier. Here on the sprint out. Tried to look to go back against the grain, and he does. But he overthrows Joel Wright, doing just a good job to get that ball loose. Some extracurriculars down on the field, and that's not what they need from Mike Gow right now.
Well, Mike Gow is one of the captains on the team, and he's one of the guys who gets fired up. He doesn't say a whole lot. He's one of those leaders by example, but he's a straight shooter, and he doesn't like to be played cheap. And sometimes he's right, sometimes he's wrong. Nonetheless, he's one of those guys that is intense, and he makes plays all day long.
So faced with a 2nd down and 10, 24 seconds remaining, Laurier trying to get something before the end of this first half. Jeff Keane gave him great field position, and Pierre's going to have to run it, and he is tripped up. Jeff Robert Shaw gets the shoelaces.
You know, it doesn't take a whole lot when somebody's running full speed to take him down, and that's exactly what Robert Shaw did. He just took a little tip off his shoe, and Pierre went down. You'll see right here, just enough of the right foot to trip him up.
So it looks like they will kick. For a second there, I thought, you know what, 19 seconds left in the half, why not go for it?
Well, you know what, it looks like it's close from up here, but when you're on the field, you're lined up on the 35-yard line, and you got a full 7 yards to go, it's a little tricky to go for it, and they need points, and that's what they're going to try to do with Devlin.
He comes in, the spot will be from 42, his long on the year, 45. Devlin, low liner, and it is wide. Jesse Lumsden will get a touch of the football. Trying to angle his way, Tony Bretney chasing him, can't get him. O.J. Tassie can't get him, but Hickey can. And that will draw close to the first half here at Ivor Stadium, with McMaster leading 24-10. Time now for our play of the half, brought to you by Tissot, celebrating its 150th anniversary. Tissot watches, innovators by tradition since 1853. And our play of the half is Brandon Little. Explosive and big at the time.
Well, what else can you say other than unbelievable? Great job by Brandon Little. We knew he'd get the ball because people are staying away from Lumsden. Takes it all the way back for a huge score late in this first half.
And immediately following a big play from Laurier. Brandon Little replies for Mac. Let's go down to Sid Cicero on the sideline. Sid.
Here with Coach Jeffries. Coach, despite the scoreline, I'm assuming you have to be very happy with your overall play this half.
Well, we can't make mistakes, and we turned the ball over. They scored. They recovered a punt and they scored, and then a big play on the return. So we just can't do that, and we're going to hang in there. But it's a good football team we're playing.
Gary, I mean, this is a team in MAC. They haven't had a lot of close games like this in the half this year at 24-10. You have to take some satisfaction in that.
No, we're down, and it doesn't matter. We just got to come back out here and get back in it early in the third quarter.
Gary, thank you.
Thank you.
There is head coach of Laurier, Gary Jeffries. Quick injury update, guys. Jeff Keane, the kicker for Laurier, suffered a concussion, and his return is questionable. It's now time for OUA trivia on University Rush. Here on The Score, it's brought to you by Fila, proud supporters of University Rush. Today's question, who scored Laurier's only major of the game so far? If you know the answer, log on to thescore.ca. We got a link there to the OUA website. Or you can cut out the middleman and go right to OUA.ca and give yourself a shot at winning. We are at the half, an Ivor win, 96th Yates Cup. McMaster involved in a game. It's 24-10. More after this.